We're back for another picks and predictions video for UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Hernandez. We've been on a tear in terms of picking main eventers. We are undefeated for the year, going a perfect 3-0, looking to make it 4-0 this week. But before we get into the video, I'd like you to check out my Lock to Vault series. We're undefeated in that, 2-0, turning $10 into 30. This week we're turning 30 into 60. So go ahead and look at that. Link is in the description. Let's get straight into the picks and predictions. Starting off at the flyweight division, we have Carli Judice set to face off against Juliana Miller. This one is a fairly easy fight to predict. Carli Judice, 5-2 record, all 5 fights ending by way of KO, and this one goes no different. Carli Judice, she is a really high-level striker. She does have kind of sloppy takedown defense, but Juliana Miller is not that great in terms of wrestling. Juliana Miller is not going to get this fight down to the ground, and if it stays standing, she's going to get touched with some serious power, and Carli Judice puts her away early. I think Carli Judice beats her by KO, placing a bet on Carli Judice to win inside the distance. There is a chance that she pummels her, grounds and pounds her, and then feels sorry for her and sinks in a rare naked choke submission and wins there, but I really see her winning by KO. Next up, we're going to the featherweights where we have Yadier del Valle set to face off against Jordan Leavitt. Jordan Leavitt taking a step down in terms of weight class. Yadier, he's been a 145 for the entire time, and I see him winning this fight fairly easily. He's a much more polished striker. Jordan Leavitt, his path to victory is getting on top and trying to get a submission in, but Yadier is not going to allow that. He's going to pick him apart. He can even take the fight down and get a submission there himself. Next up, we're going to John Paul Lebosnoyani set to face off against Phil Rowe. Phil Rowe missing weight. Phil Rowe is a guy that he is very tall, very lengthy, but he doesn't really fight well at a distance, which is kind of puzzling. Lebosnoyani, he is a phenomenal fighter in my opinion. He has good striking and good grappling. I see him using that to get the victory against a guy like Phil Rowe. I see him picking apart Phil Rowe in the stand-up, getting the fight down to the ground, controlling him there. He can either get a submission or land enough control time because Phil Rowe is very responsible defensively. And Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani can win a decision. I'm picking him to win by submission. I think he is very slick there, and I think he can outwork Phil Rowe, get him tired, and get the submission in. Next up, we're going to the welterweights where we have Ramiz Brahimaj set to face off against Punahele Soriano. And this is my first bet of the card. I really like Ramiz Brahimaj here. He showed he had good striking. He showed he has really good grappling. Punahele has proven to be kind of brain dead. He does have one hitter kind of power, but it's at the 185-pound division. At 170, he didn't really show that much, and he's going in for reckless takedowns. And if you do that against a guy like Ramiz, you're gonna get submitted. I do see him doing that. I do see him making some brain dead moves, and Ramiz is gonna get a finish here. I think he wins by submission. I think he gets a guillotine choke. Ramiz Brahimaj to win is gonna be the play on this one. Next up, we're going to the bantamweights where we have Nora Cornolle set to face off against Joselyne Edwards. This is, of course, a rematch, but the fighter that lost is the favorite in Joselyne Edwards. I think she's a much more polished striker. I think she mixes up the takedowns in this fight and wins a unanimous decision, but no bet on that one. Next up, we're going to the male flyweights where we have Alden Coria set to face off against Gurule. Alden Coria looked absolutely sensational in his debut against Alessandro Costa. Phenomenal head movement, great striking. He was able to mix in the takedowns. Even when he got his back taken, he showed phenomenal defense, heart, everything you want to see in a fighter. Gurule, on the other hand, he's not proven anything at the UFC level. He got finished by Osbourne when he was a heavy favorite. I actually placed a bet on him, and he let me down on that one. And got outworked by Jesus Aguilar. 10-2, 10 wins happening outside of the UFC and the Contender Series, and the 2 losses are his only 2 bouts at the UFC level. And I see Alden Coria mixing up the striking and the wrestling, putting work on Luis Gurule, and I think he works his way into a TKO finish, placing a bet on Alden Coria to win inside the distance. Next up, we're going to the flyweights yet again, where we have Osbourne set to face off against Alibi Idiris, and this one is a really tough one to pick because Osbourne, he is a much better striker, but his takedown defense is so lackluster. Alibi Idiris, he is really good when it comes to wrestling. When a fight gets down to the ground, it can't last long against a guy like Osbourne. But he tends to stay on the feet a bit too much. He's too comfortable standing up and not that great to have that level of comfort. I do see Osbourne managing to clip him and put him out. Osbourne looked phenomenal against Steve Irsay. Even though it's a loss, he looked really good, proving that his striking is a level above some of these flyweights. His takedown defense is atrocious. So if Alibi manages to get takedowns there, he's going to put him out. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think Osbourne gets the victory here. Next up, we're going to the welterweights where we have Chidi Njokuani set to face off against Carlos Leal. This one is going one of two ways. Either Carlos Leal just puts pressure on him for the entirety of the fight and wins a unanimous decision, or Chidi picks him apart in the striking. This is the way I see it going. I do see Chidi picking him apart in the striking. When Carlos Leal goes in too close, he can get caught with the knees and the elbows. Chidi is really good in the clinch, so he should get the job done here. Placing a bet on Chidi to win because he is the underdog and it's good value. Next up, we're going to the middleweights where we have Zachary Reese set to face off against Michel Pereira. This one is one you have to stay away from in terms of betting. Zachary Reese, he's an okay fighter. Michel Pereira, he has looked like a shell of himself in his most recent bouts. Ever since fighting Fluffy Hernandez, he has not looked the same. Against Abus, looked absolutely terrible. Against this guy that got cut and brought back, can't remember his name, Kyle Dawkins, he got finished and he looked awful in that fight. If he was to be explosive like the Michel Pereira, I guess in his prime, the best version of Michel Pereira, he walks through Zachary Reese, but that's not the version we're getting. So I do see Zachary Reese getting a finish here. I lean more towards submission. Even if he gets put out, when he reaches to the ground, Michel Pereira is going to do some kind of fancy backflip, and he's going to end up getting the position reversed, and Zachary Reese is going to sink in a submission. That's how I see the fight going, but I highly recommend you stay away from it in terms of betting. Next up, we're going to the welterweights where we have undefeated versus undefeated, 11-0 versus 11-0. Jacoby Smith set to face off against Josiah Harrell. Harrell, he had to fight Jack Della Maddalena at one point. I had to pull out due to brain problems, I believe. And in terms of the regional scene, he's looked really good when he controls the fight. But against a guy like Jacoby Smith, he's going to struggle. Jacoby is going to try to take the fight down to the ground, pound his head in, and try to get a finish there. If Jacoby Smith manages to get the fight down, I see him working his way to a finish. However, he has to do it sooner rather than later, because if the fight drags on, I don't see his cardio lasting very well, and Josiah Harrell is going to get the better of him there. But I see Jacoby Smith getting a finish under 1.5. That's going to be the pick and the play for this one. Next up, we're going to the heavyweight division where we have Sergey Spivak set to face off against Ante Delija. Ante Delija, once he keeps the fight standing, it's going to be easy work and easy money for him. He's going to be landing power shots against Sergey Spivak. That's how I see the fight going. Placing a bet on Ante Delija to win. I see him keeping the fight standing, placing some powerful shots on Sergey. Sergey can't handle power by any means. I mean, he got finished by Cyril Gane, which is not really a good look for him. So yeah, once you can keep the fight standing, land some good shots, he's going to curl up and he's going to get TKO'd. Placing a bet on Ante Delija to win yet again. Next up, we're going to the featherweight division where we have Dan 50K Ige set to face off against Melquizael Costa. This one, I see it going Melquizael Costa's way. I think he's much more well-rounded. I think he mixes in the takedowns. I'd see Dan Ige struggling with him. He's also a high-level grappler, but Dan Ige is extremely durable, not only in the stand-up, but also in the grappling department. So he's going to survive for the 3 rounds, but Melquizael is going to get the better of at least two of them and wins a unanimous decision. No bet on that fight. On to the co-main event of the evening, we have Jeff Neal set to face off against Uros Medish. And this one is a really tough one to bet on, so I highly recommend you stay away from it in terms of betting. But I prefer the side of Jeff Neal. He's a much more polished striker. Uros, he has great finishing ability, and Jeff Neal is coming off a very brutal finishing loss against Carlos Prates, but Uros got knocked out by Punahele Soriano. I mean, let's not forget that. I know he looked good in his recent bout, but it's not high-level opposition. Against Punahele, he got clipped with an overhand. Jeff Neal can very well catch you there, too. Jeff Neal can push you up against the fence and win the majority of the rounds. There's just more paths to victory for Jeff Neal, so I like the side of Jeff Neal, but no bet on that fight. On to the main event of the evening, and I'm going against the grain here. I think Sean Strickland wins this one, placing a bet on Sean Strickland to land more significant strikes. But let me explain how I see it happening. Anthony Hernandez, he's been on a really good 8-fight win streak. He beats the majority of the division, but styles make fights, and Sean Strickland's style, I see it being superior to Anthony Hernandez. When it comes to style versus style, it's kind of like Rock playing scissors. Rock wins every single time. Sean Strickland, if he gets taken down, he's going to work his way back up. His cardio is better than every single one of Anthony Hernandez's victories in the streak. He's not going to wilt. He's not going to weather. He's not going to be broken in less than 3 rounds. Anthony Hernandez turns it on late. Sean Strickland has proven to be extremely difficult to finish at the 185-pound division. Anthony Hernandez does not have the power to put a guy like Sean Strickland out early or hurt him or make him wary to back up. Sean's going to just keep the pressure on, step forward, work in some body shots, teep kicks, jabs. You know, he's just going to outpoint him in the striking, and I see him getting a victory here. So give me Sean Strickland to win. I see it happening by unanimous decision, but there's good enough bets on him to land more. So there's good enough value, for him to land more significant strikes. And this has been my picks and predictions for UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Hernandez. Be sure to leave a like. Let me know what you think of it down below. Subscribe, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Twitter, support the channel on the Patreon, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, game time.